It's an emergency meeting. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Consul is filled with tension. Representatives from every corner of the galaxy sit in silence, their thoughts weighed down by a single name: Earth. A planet that, not long ago, had barely registered as a blip on anyone's radar. Now, it's the subject of hushed conversations, fearful glances, and desperate debate. The council member recounting the situation is barely able to contain his disbelief. How did it come to this? The whispers of others echo his thoughts, eyes darting around the room, anxiety rippling through the assembly. Humanity, once viewed as primitive, had risen faster than any species they had ever encountered. Earth had joined the interstellar community with its usual brash energy, shrugging off the galactic norms, charging ahead with wild ambition. Once, humans were considered nothing more than an odd curiosity, a species from a small blue planet, scrabbling for scraps of technology. Their entry into space had barely warranted a footnote in previous council meetings. At most, they were a minor player, their capacity for warfare seen as crude and unsophisticated. But now they stood on the precipice of something terrifying. They must not get involved, someone mutters, breaking the silence. The entire council knows this sentiment all too well. The war that rages between the two largest galactic factions is already devastating enough. If Earth were to enter the fray, the council member remembers how it all began. Humanity had made contact decades ago, eager, wide-eyed, and determined. At first, their tech was laughable. Crude ships, inferior weapons. They were still figuring out how to handle FTL travel without tearing themselves apart. But there was something unsettling about them, even then, something relentless. When the first skirmishes broke out between humans and pirate factions on the galactic fringes, nobody thought much of it. Just another species learning the ropes, another group testing the waters. But then came the battles, the victories that left even seasoned veterans speechless. Humanity didn't just fight. They adapted. Fast. Every time they lost, they came back stronger, smarter, more efficient. Their tactics were unconventional, their strategies reckless, but they worked. It was as if they relished being underestimated. The Battle of Xyloth Prime, a voice in the chamber recalls, sending a shiver through those present. That was the moment the galaxy began to take them seriously. An overwhelming force of pirates, mercenaries, and raiders descended on the human outpost, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they were met with a tactical slaughter. Human forces, outnumbered and outgunned, somehow managed to turn the tide through sheer will and brutal tactics. It wasn't just their firepower. It was the psychological warfare, the way they broke their enemy's spirit before a single shot was fired. No one expected such a tiny, new species to deliver that level of devastation. And that wasn't the only incident. Time and time again, Earth's forces emerged victorious where they should have been annihilated. Their ingenuity, their aggression, it was terrifying. They didn't play by the galaxy's rules. They made their own, rewriting them as they went. The council member remembers one particular report, a chilling one. "They don't see war the way we do," it had said. "To them, it's not just strategy. It's personal. It's survival." Other civilizations fought for territory, for resources, for pride. Humans fought like a species with its back against the wall, every engagement like it was their last. And now, with the galactic war raging between the two largest factions, the Council is terrified of what would happen if humanity decided to get involved. Earth, with its unpredictability, its aggression, could tip the scales in ways no one could anticipate. The Council members murmur amongst themselves, unsure of the best course of action. "Do we invite them?" one asks hesitantly. The thought is horrifying. Humanity could end the war, certainly. But at what cost? Their brutal efficiency could decimate both factions, and then, what? What would stop Earth from taking its place as the dominant force in the galaxy? There's a pause, the air thick with uncertainty. The Council's dilemma is clear: involve Earth and risk them seizing control of the galaxy, or keep them out and hope their neutrality holds. But even their neutrality is terrifying. They've already proven they can stay out of a conflict until the very last moment, and then sweep in and claim victory when everyone else is too exhausted to resist. The decision hangs over the room like a storm cloud. Earth is unpredictable, erratic. Their capacity for war is unmatched. Their aggression, their willingness to do whatever it takes to win, has already frightened even the most seasoned alien generals. No one in the room wants to admit it out loud, but they are afraid, truly afraid, of what humanity is capable of. Finally, a resolution begins to form. They must send an envoy. Someone trusted, respected, capable of pleading for Earth's continued neutrality. They must appeal to humanity's desire for peace, for stability. But everyone in the room knows, deep down, that this is a desperate gamble. Earth has proven it doesn't follow anyone's rules but its own. The meeting concludes with a sense of foreboding. The council members disperse, but the fear lingers. The galaxy is walking a razor's edge, and Earth stands at the center of it all. What happens next, no one can predict. The Galactic Consul sends their best diplomat, a figure renowned for brokering peace between star systems that were once locked in endless conflict. Even this seasoned envoy, who has seen civilizations rise and fall, feels an unfamiliar chill as the ship approaches Earth. The stories are fresh in their mind, whispers of human ferocity in battle, of their unrelenting adaptability. Tales of entire fleets obliterated by human cunning, not by superior firepower, but through strategies that defied logic. The diplomat had dismissed many of these tales as exaggeration, but now, seeing Earth from orbit, the unease grows. Earth's defense systems surround the planet like an impenetrable fortress. Fleets of warships, each bristling with weaponry, are stationed in tight formations. Every strategic point in space seems covered, every possible entry to the planet fortified. It's not just the sheer number of ships and stations. What strikes the envoy most is the precision of their positioning. Nothing here is random. The defenses are both excessive and flawless. There's a sense that Earth isn't merely ready for war, it thrives on the very idea of it. As the diplomat's ship descends, they are escorted by a fleet of sleek human fighters. The path to the surface is uncomfortably silent. There's no fanfare, no ceremony, just the cold, professional efficiency Earth seems to exude. When the diplomat is brought to Earth's government chamber, the setting reflects the same attitude. It's a fortified compound, its architecture functional, unadorned. The walls radiate an unspoken message: Earth is always prepared. The humans greet the envoy with calm, measured politeness. The president, flanked by high-ranking military officials, listens as the diplomat lays out the consul's plea: stay neutral, stay out of the war. The diplomat, usually poised and confident, feels an edge of uncertainty creeping into their voice. They know this isn't just a negotiation. This is a plea for survival, not just for the consul's factions, but possibly for the entire galaxy. Humanity's involvement would change everything. The humans are still, listening, almost amused by the desperation behind the request. Their response is calm, but there's something unsettling about their composure. They smile, nodding to the consul's concerns, reassuring the envoy that Earth has no interest in the petty squabbles of the galaxy. Their tone is polite, diplomatic, yet every word feels like it's layered with something more. It's as though Earth views this galactic war as beneath them. The president speaks, his voice firm, reassuring, yet dripping with controlled menace. He assures the consul that Earth prefers to remain neutral. They have no desire to interfere in the affairs of other species. However, Earth will not tolerate any conflict spilling into its territory. There's a pause, a silence that stretches just long enough to make the diplomat shift uneasily. And then comes the warning, delivered with a smile, but unmistakable in its intent. Earth's involvement, if forced, could tip the balance of the entire war. Should the fighting come to Earth's doorstep, the consequences would be devastating for both sides. The tension in the room thickens. The diplomat understands now. This is no simple negotiation. The humans are reminding the consul of Earth's power without ever raising their voices or making any explicit threats. Their neutrality is not a gesture of peace, it's a veiled declaration of control. They are holding the galaxy's fate in their hands, and everyone knows it. The diplomat leaves the chamber, the weight of the encounter sinking in. The humans were cordial, yes, but there was something terrifying in their cold, calculated demeanor. Earth is not just staying out of the war, they are manipulating it. Their neutrality is a silent threat. Both factions now know that if Earth ever chooses to enter the war, they could destroy them both with ease. It's not a question of if Earth is powerful enough. It's a question of when they'll choose to use that power. As the envoy's ship departs, they look out towards space, catching sight of Earth's fleets. The ships are a reminder of the raw strength that lies in waiting. They don't need to flaunt it. Their mere presence is enough to send a clear message to anyone paying attention. Earth holds all the cards, and they are watching. Leaving the atmosphere, the diplomat reflects on the subtle menace of the encounter. The consul had hoped to plead for Earth's neutrality, but instead, it seems they've walked away with a deeper understanding of just how precarious their situation truly is. Earth isn't staying neutral out of kindness or diplomacy. They are calculating, watching, waiting. And when they finally decide to act, the galaxy may never recover. The consul sits in tense silence as the envoy's report is delivered. A quiet ripple of relief runs through the chamber. Earth has agreed to stay out of the war. But that relief is short-lived. Everyone understands that humanity's neutrality is a temporary shield, not a guarantee. It could be shattered in an instant, should Earth's interests shift. The relief in the air is tainted by dread, the realization that the galaxy remains at the mercy of a force that no one truly understands. As the discussions begin, opinions clash. Some representatives are visibly shaken. "We should never have approached them," one mutters, the fear in their voice thinly veiled. They argue that by even engaging with Earth, the consul has unwittingly painted a target on the galaxy. Others chime in, agreeing that humanity's neutrality is a ticking time bomb, far more dangerous than if they had simply picked a side. The fact that Earth remains aloof, unconcerned with the war between galactic factions, makes their potential involvement all the more terrifying. Paranoia creeps in. One representative, voice low but sharp, suggests preemptive action, striking Earth before it has a chance to act. The idea hangs in the air for a second, met with horrified stares. The silence is palpable. It's not even that the suggestion is morally questionable. No one in the room believes such a move could succeed. The thought of a direct war with Earth, even in theory, sends chills down the spines of the Council members. They know all too well what happened to those who underestimated humanity before. That path leads only to ruin. The debate continues. Some propose espionage, or perhaps covert operations, to monitor Earth's activities, to find ways to keep them in check. But even these ideas are met with hesitation. There's an unspoken fear that humanity, with its advanced technology and uncanny ability to adapt, is already aware of the Council's every move. If Earth is already watching, then any attempt to infiltrate or manipulate them could spark the very catastrophe they're trying to avoid. It's a delicate balance, and no one knows how long they can keep walking the line. Meanwhile, the war between the two major factions rages on. Battles flare across distant star systems, and yet there's a noticeable shift in how the war is fought. Both sides, once eager to gain the upper hand, now fight with an undercurrent of caution. Each faction knows that pushing too far, escalating too quickly, could draw the attention of Earth. And neither side can afford that. The specter of humanity looms over every strategic decision, a shadow that no one dares ignore. Rumors begin to spread across the galaxy. Whispers of human agents, unseen and unknown, quietly influencing the war from the sidelines. Some believe Earth is manipulating events for their own gain, subtly guiding the war in ways that benefit them while keeping their hands clean. No one can prove it, of course, but the fear is enough. It lingers in the minds of generals and leaders, casting doubt over every victory, every defeat. Is this truly the will of their own factions, or is Earth pulling the strings from behind the scenes? Among the ranks of alien commanders, there is unease. They know Earth could intervene at any time, and the idea gnaws at them. Some have even begun adjusting their strategies, not just against their enemies, but with an eye toward what Earth might do. Earth's neutrality, once seen as a blessing, has now become a weapon in itself, a psychological hammer hanging over the entire war. It is a reminder that the galaxy's most powerful factions are not truly in control. Earth, without even lifting a finger, holds more sway over the conflict than any fleet or battalion. As the war grinds on, the balance of power shifts not through battles, but through the unspoken fear of Earth's might. Every action, every decision, is now made with humanity in mind. Neither side can afford to provoke them, and so the war drags on in a tense, uneasy stalemate. The factions are bleeding themselves dry, too afraid to make the final, desperate push that could decide the war, because they know that if they push too hard, Earth may decide for them. The Council member, the same one who had witnessed humanity's rise, sits in reflection. Their thoughts drift back to the days when Earth was barely more than a curiosity, a small planet filled with an ambitious, reckless species. How quickly things had changed. Now, Earth stands as the ultimate wildcard in a game that no one else seems to fully understand. The envoy's encounter with humanity had only confirmed what they all feared. Earth is a lurking power, waiting, watching, and entirely in control of its own destiny. The Council knows one thing for certain: Earth's neutrality is not born of weakness or disinterest. It's a calculated move. The humans are watching the galaxy tear itself apart, biding their time, waiting for the perfect moment to act, if they even need to act at all. Their mere presence has already shifted the course of the war, and no one can say for sure where it will end. As the meeting concludes, the final thought that lingers in the Council member's mind is one of dread. Earth may be neutral today, but the future is uncertain. And when humanity finally decides to enter the conflict, if that day comes, it will already be too late for the rest of the galaxy. The balance of power has already shifted, and Earth holds all the cards. The question is no longer whether Earth will act, but when, and what the galaxy will look like when they do.